Welcome to Explore Analytics. Today we're going to see how the two powerful features, composite views and calculated fields, work together to create an agile custom field solution. So let's take as an example today that we're going to try and build a report based on something that isn't in a ServiceNow or some other tables database. So let's say we want to build this report. This is analysis of our incidents, seeing which ones were outsourced and which ones were tackled in-house. Now, this might seem like a very straightforward report to create, but I'm sure you've all been in this situation before where you go to create a report like this and realize, oh, you don't have a column of data. When you go look at ServiceNow, there is no field called outsource that's going to let you run this report. So we don't have that field. How can we get this report? Today, you might tackle this by creating a custom field in the database. The problem is that that's going to require you to change your ServiceNow or other database schema. It's going to require you to create JavaScript business rules to populate it, a release process, which is going to involve QA and testing. You might need to run a script to populate the historic data, and you'll need to do ongoing maintenance and testing to make sure that this custom field works the way that you need it to do, which means a lot of overhead, a lot of technical issues, people who are developers having to be involved for, what might be a need that's short term that, might need a lot of these. So creating custom fields might be a lot of headache. The other approach that people take is to jump the data out and build these reports in Excel. But that has a lot of limitations. You lose real-time access to the data. You lose that ability to drill through to the data that's behind the report, the ability to embed it in dashboards in ServiceNow or elsewhere, and you lose the ability to apply ACL or before query business rule security. So where does that leave us? We want to report on something, it's not in the database. Creating custom fields or hacking it in Excel is not going to get us where we want us to go. This is not Agile. That's where Explore Analytics chooses a different approach. We're going to use calculated field in Explore Analytics and a composite view. The reason is that the calculated field is going to be a quick formula builder. There's no code or script. You're building in the report the calculation. And then the composite view allows you to treat that calculated field as if it was in the table. So you're not making any changes to ServiceNow. It's not administrative. It's not a coding change. It's just something that you in the report can define for yourself in a very quick way. And as we'll see, that allows you to be very agile whenever you come into the situation where you don't have a field in the database the way you want it. So let's take a look at this example. I'm in Explore Analytics. I've created a list view on the incident table that we're going to use as the basis of this report. For these kinds of calculations, we start with the list report because that allows us to virtually create the field that we want to report on, and then the composite view will let us make a pivot or a chart or any kind of visualization that you want. So let's start by doing that calculation at the list level. In these list fields, I have this calculator where I can create a calculated field. Now we want to know which incidents were outsourced or which ones were insourced. And in my use case, I know that anything that was handled by one of the many Acme companies is where we were handling it in-house. But I need to turn that into a column that just says outsourced or in-house. We're going to create the column called outsourced. So now we're going to use a function to determine whether the company is insourced or outsourced. So we have a bunch of functions here, and the one we're going to use is the search function. And it's going to search in the company field for Acme. And if it finds it, it's going to say in-house. And if not, it's going to return outsourced. So you can see just one quick formula from our many available formulas. You can combine formulas and do a lot more analysis, but here we're just looking at the company field. If it has Acme in it, regardless of what else is in there, then we're going to say in-house, otherwise it's outsourced. So now I can see 3, Acer, Ahead Aladdin are all outsourced. Everything that was handled by Acme is in-house. So now I have this list view. It's showing me, this virtual column that is a calculated field. It's not available within the ServiceNow incident table, but in this table, I have this calculated value. But this calculated field is really just the foundation on which we're going to build some great reports. And I'm going to do that by going to the File menu and saying New Composite View. And we'll call this Outsourced. And what this is doing is it's now treating the report that's below as if it was a table that we're writing reports against. Now you'll notice that the fields that are available are the ones that were in the list report. I can go to edit input view and add additional fields if I want to, but for right now we're just going to use these fields right here. Now, as we said, the real power is using this composite to build, for example, a chart. And I can say we can do it by category, and we'll say we'll do by priority, and then within that, was it outsourced or not? And we can stack that up, do the values or breakdowns, and the breakdown be percent, right? So it's very easy for me to see, this is for by priority, how much was handled in-source versus outsource across those categories. Now, as I said, all of this is not changing anything about ServiceNow. So this is something any business analyst can do for themselves. If we want to change the definition of outsourced, in-source, it's very easy to do just by going back to that input view and playing with that formula. So for example, right now we're doing the count of the incident. Let's suppose what I actually wanted to do was see, okay, actually we want to use this to compare the business duration of what was, in-sourced or outsourced. So I've added that to my list view. And now if I go back to that top level composite view, business duration is available. I can say, let's group it by outsourced or insourced, and the value is going to be the average business duration. Multiple colors, and we'll do it as a horizontal bar. So I can see the average in-house incident was handled in a little over 5 days. The average outsource incident was a little over 6 days. So you can see I have a report. I do some advanced analysis. I create the composite view. I then look at that report, do some additional changes, all without any cost of doing testing or making changes to ServiceNow, having to write JavaScript or anything like this. It's all real time. I can drill through to the details. I can go to the file menu and I can publish this, to be sent out to folks. I can publish it to the ServiceNow instance, all right here at my fingertips. To show a more advanced example of how this is applied, let's take a look at an example that is in our project management pre-built application. So in our project management application, on our baseline tab, you can see that we have this report, which is task completion, how it varies from the baseline. And it's grouped into on time, minor delay, or major delay. Now, if I see how this is defined, and I, am grouping by this timeliness field, if you've dealt with a project management application in ServiceNow, you know that there isn't a timeliness or a variance field. So if I look at this is a composite view built on top of this list. The variance field is a calculation that's looking at the difference between when the baseline was recorded as ending versus when the original plan was ended. And then the timeliness compares those values to say, well, if the variance is less than a certain threshold, we'll call it on time. If it's less than another threshold, we'll call it a minor delay. And if it's more, then it's a major delay. So you can see that here we've got multiple calculations interlocked, working together, giving us flags, giving us a colored, time, and then being built on top of to create this fairly easy to understand, green, yellow, red stoplight. Right? So you can see here that another great advantage of these kind of calculations in composite views is it allows you to present a report that hides some of the complexity of the data and does some really great additional analysis on top of it. Again, without code, without script, without making database changes to ServiceNow. We'd love to hear from you and what examples of composite views and calculated field you have. Comment below or reach out to us, and good luck building some great composite views to solve your use cases today.